Welcome back everyone, got this LIV in this stand today. In the customer's own words, he's feeling a bit tired. So we've got a new chain, new cassette, new bottom bracket, new tyres, new bar tape, new cables, pretty much half a bike really. All the wear and tear sort of stuff. So let's get going. So the customer does have a chain tool, but in their own words, they forget to use it or something along those lines, and it's gone over 1%. Every time they change this chain, previously they've changed a cassette every time, which I told them is excessive. Normally you'll get 3 chains to a cassette. However, because we've gone over 1%, we are changing this cassette as requested anyway. But going forwards, I recommended 3 chains to 1 cassette as per the norm. New bottom bracket is a press fit bottom bracket, it's making some noises. Customers supplied a pair of new tyres. They've plugged these many times, so they want some fresh ones on, no problem. No issues with the rim brakes at all, so they're staying put. This Supercars oil slick tape is a little bit tired, so we're going to change that and take that opportunity to sort some of these gear cables out. This one's got some damage down here, and this is the front derailleur one living up here where it shouldn't be. So that needs to be down there and taped a bit better underneath here, so we can obviously do that with the tape off. These hoods look pretty tired as well actually. See if I've got any of those in stock. I think I do. We'll get them changed over at the same time, freshen it all up. So I'm just going to get stuck straight into this one. I'm slightly up against it for time. They want this back in 2 days. I'm going to wait for the bar tape. Got my shorts on because it's 35 degrees here in the UK this week, which is just stupid for the UK. As you know, we love complaining about the weather. And no, I don't have air conditioning in here. I wish I did. Take your chain off before you take the wheel off, not like me. Bottom bracket's just got a bit of a creak in it. Press fit, Shimano press fit unit. This is, so we're just going to replace that out. They're not expensive. In fact, they're extremely cheap. Bit of a love tap to get it off. There you go. This is good. So this is TE, so that's outside of Shimano's recall. So just a little bit of damage to this gear cable here, so I'm going to take this opportunity to change this and obviously the inner at the same time. Actually, this lower jockey wheel is very dead as well, so we're going to get some new jockey wheels on there as well. Take this cable out. This Ultegra barrel adjuster, they are not the best. That's seized in there. That's not supposed to stay in there, but I can sort that out, no problem. And we'll change this piece of cable at the same time. Again, we're changing this front derailleur cable as well. Nothing actually wrong with it, but customers requested it because they've had quite a history of snapping gear cables. So for the minimal cost, we're putting some new ones in. Front derailleur is actually fairly new. I did change this last year as the other one broken. And it's working perfectly. Pull this out next so we can get access to see where these cables are living. See what I did there? This BSC puller. Great tool this is. Hook it in behind there, spin this onto the frame, and then just literally unscrew it, pull it straight out. There you go. People are scared of press fit bottom brackets, but honestly, if you've got the right kit, they're super easy to do, really are. Take this sleeve out there, same on this one. Wow, less than a minute. Like I say, this bar tape's a bit tired, so we're getting some new stuff. Exactly the same one. It wasn't very tight, was it? What was that one? It's off. I've got my first ever freebie on the way at the moment. Some Chinese company sending me some bar tape to have a look at. I'm not getting paid for it, but they give me the tape for free, so that'll be in a video soon. Actually looks really nice, but we shall see. I get so many emails and stuff nowadays, but 99% of it is totally irrelevant. Let's see what comes. Free bikes would be nice. We'll cast you a G-Shock, that'd be nice. I jest. Somebody asked to see my watch collection the other day. I've got a few, I think 12, 13 on my last count. Nothing special, all G-Shocks, but they're quite nice watches. So this piece of housing isn't a full housing. You can see it just stops at the frame. It's looking pretty tired, as I say, so we're going to change that while the tape's off. I'm just going to pull this out because I'm supremely confident we'll get it back in. If I can't, it makes more interesting viewing for you. And this one here, like I say, for the front derailleur, you can see it's been living up here and living. I keep doing that, don't I? It's damaged this stem here, so that's no good at all there. That's coming out as well. Just need to cut this sellotape or whatever it is they've used to get the gear in and out. So I'm not touching the brakes because there's actually nothing wrong with them. That one out. That one out. Just get the gear cable itself out now, the gear inner. Fold this out of the way. And that will just pop through here, like that. There's the kink there where it lives in the lever. That's 3, sorry. and this is where they always snap on, especially on Ultegra levers. It seems to be worse than Ultegra, maybe 105 as well. But generally, a recommendation for your rear derailleur at least, you would change this every 12 months if you're a regular rider. The front derailleur cable, much less of a problem in my experience. I very, very, very rarely see one that snapped, but while we're in here, we're just going to have a look in the headset, make sure everything's okay. Feels fantastic. I'll just clean out any grit from down here especially. But there's no issues reported, and it does feel good. Take this little lot off as well. So it's mostly in here that I'm concerned about, because obviously that attracts all the road dirt. As you can see, wow, pretty grim in there. Right, let's get this out. Drop those onto the table just to take any tension off these cables. You could quite easily disconnect the brake cables. And then in here is the area of concern. This is moving, no problem, so that's great news. Pretty disgusting. We'll get it all cleaned up, get some fresh grease in there, put it back together. The bearing does actually feel really nice, no grittiness there at all. There's a tiny little screw in here to get this cover off. Like that. There's the other one. So like I say, get all this grit off here and get it all cleaned up, and then we'll get that back in. Actually, I'm just going to take this brake off because I want to get in here and clean all this rubbish out. It's just going to be a bit easier with it off the fork. You'll find with Ultegra you can pull this out with the cable cap, normally still attached, so that's easy. Okay, I just want to get this rubbish out of here. This is obviously just flicked up from the road as well. We'll just corrode this bolt into place if you don't look at it every now and again. I'm just going to get some penetrating fluid on there. Cover your pads up first. This is finish line chill zone release agent. And I'm just going to tap this 5mm into there. There you go. So the brake's off, but this is obviously still stuck in there just because of the amount of rubbish. It has got some grease on there by the looks of it or something, but let's get it all cleaned up, get some fresh grease on here, get it back in, and we're going to protect the back of this as well to stop that happening again. Caliper, just a little bit crusty, we'll get that cleaned up and get some lube in there as well. Again, just protect your pads while you're doing this. You can obviously take them off should you wish. And then we're just getting some lube in between all these pivots here. Anything that moves, including the quick release here, don't forget that. Okay, that feels good. Well, that's all cleaned up nicely, no issues there at all. Get some grease in here. I'm not lubricating anything. I told you a gazillion times we're stopping bearings getting seized into the carbon frame, because they love doing that. Put the bearing back in. In with the top one into the frame, all greased. I think I've got to put the cover on first before anything else. Only purely a cosmetic cover. Drop that in. Drop your compression ring on. Actually, this has got to go on before that cover, doesn't it? Hey ho. And then this cover goes back on. Like so. Clean this up before you put your stem on. And just drop the stem back on. Giant don't ask for carbon paste. Some manufacturers do. Giant don't. And this will compress to pull that back up. Don't worry. It feels good. And if you take that out now, check it. That should be pretty much exactly where it should be. About 3mm below the top, above the middle of this top bolt. So we're good. Okay, that's that bit done. I'll tighten these up later, don't worry. Put the brake back in there. So I always get a good double grease on this as well, because these seize really, really badly. Right, I might need to straighten out when we get the wheel back in, but that's not going to be far off. And then after we've done that, we'll get a cover of some sort on here to prevent that filling up with all the road crap again. Right, wind that back in because we're going to reset the cable pressure with this anyway. A little groove on the back of this shows you which way it goes on the inside. Again, I'll jump back on that when the wheel's in. Again, no issues at all with the back brake, so we're just going to get some lube in here. On the front mech, we're just going to back out this cable adjuster here before we put the new cable in, because we're going to need that. It's all the way out. And again, we're just going to get some lube in all these pivots, linkages. There's plenty on this one, that's for sure. Nice. Right, so that's all lovely and fresh. So people ask me why I don't clean the bike before service it, and there's several reasons. I mean, you can't really clean behind the chain set while that's still fitted. I'm spraying the bike with lubricant, so if I've cleaned it, I've got to clean it again anyway. Unless it's absolutely dripping in mud, I'll give it a quick power wash because we're looking at the bearings, etc. anyway. But generally speaking, for myself personally, I'll just rip everything off and then I'll clean it. It just works better for me. You know, horses for courses, whatever you want to do, guys. Fill your boots, but that works for me. So with that said, I'm just going to give this a polish now because it's actually pretty damn clean as it is. But while we've got access to these bits, like I say, we'll give it a good polish and then start putting it back together. Let's get some polish on this. That's pretty damn shiny. Good stuff, that finish line. Right, that looks almost as good as new. Cool. Right, next. So I'm just cleaning up these bars before I tape on the new cables. Get all this foamy stuff off. That's what I use to get it off. It literally just melts it in a few seconds. So this is the worst job in the world until you use this stuff. 30 seconds, this is off. Well, maybe slightly longer than that, but you get the idea. It's really good stuff. It just dissolves it. Also melts your gloves as well, so, which is nice. I tried every chemical in the workshop prior to using this stuff, and it's just literally gone. Perfect. So I cut through a new gear housing for this. You can't cross over on this one because this is a plastic line out that goes all the way from there, all the way from there, all the way through there. So you can't cross over there because you just can't cross over inside the down tube basically. So we will have to stay on this side for the rear shifter and on the other side the same. On the front derailleur where that adjuster was rubbing on the stem, you don't actually need an adjuster on this one because the toggle link has got a built-in adjuster. However, it can be useful to have, so I will refit that. But technically you don't need it on this bike. So this will go back into the lever obviously. So you'll need this one with a little slot on it there, ideally for your lever. And that just locates it into there. And this is just going to go straight down to the down tube. There is no ferrule on this one. This plastic guide acts as the ferrule, which you quite often find. That's pretty good there. So for the front, I'm just going to just fit this in here. I haven't cut this yet. So I'm going to run this underneath the bar. I'm going to actually tape this one in place first, and then I'm going to decide where to cut this so it won't have a tendency to ping up towards the stem like it was doing. My hands are sweating that much I can't even peel the tape. It's so hot here, guys. I mean, I like the heat and everything, but UK is not equipped for it, that's the issue. Nobody's got air, well, very few people have got air conditioning. I'm not going to sit in my car in a minute. That'll work. No, I'm getting this taped right underneath the bar because it was a bit too far back before. That should stop that issue then. I'll just do this one while I've got the tape. Hold it tight with the tape and then just get it wrapped over. So this is the front cable which is going to live in here, like that. And then we're going to get that adjuster. If you remember where it was sitting right up here, that'll be quite nice there. So we can put the adjuster somewhere in here. So you don't actually need it on this bike, but we're going to fit it. I like to put it on a fairly flat piece here rather than an actual curve, so I'm just going to cut it and about here. It doesn't matter where you put it at all. It's a bit on the long side as well, to be honest. So that'll go in there, and make sure it works before you actually commit to it as well. This will unscrew and screw it all the way in as it is. And that will live in here. That's my squeaky door, sorry. Down to around about there. We'll put some clear protection film on here. There is already quite a lot of wear on the other side. But like I say, you can't cross these cables over because of the liners that live inside the frame. Sorry. So throw it in a cable in there now just to keep all that together. Thread it through the frame, connect her up. It just goes through here. Just be really sure that it lives in its actual housing there and doesn't just pop up there like that, because that's just going to cause you big problems. There's a little housing it actually slots into, like that. And then we're just going to thread it through this piece here, if I could see what I was doing. You've got a better view than me. Right in there. And then just keep pushing. With a bit of luck, this will pop out at the front derailleur. Almost. There's an actual join here where this piece comes through the frame, so it's got to go through there as well. Otherwise it just ends here. That's the piece that goes through the frame. And then you've got to thread it through here. So you could see this could be quite challenging without the bottom bracket removed on this one. I'll just take this guide out and we should be able to get to that, no problem. It's just a plastic pry bar pick thing. Like that. Pull that cable through, then we can go back through here. Right, and that's out to the front mech now. Push that back in. Just be careful you don't kink that cable when you put it in. I think the rear is complete, so I'm pretty confident that'll go through. Right, let's try the rear one. The rear one should come out here, which is the back end of the chainstay. Going somewhere. A little bit tight under the bottom bracket, that's felt that through there. And then, there you go. Didn't doubt it for a second. Put this bit of plastic back in. So we are changing these hoods anyway, but just fold it back for now because we're going to need access to the gear lever. These are in the right state. I've got some new ones there. Right, so get a new bottom bracket in. Another Shimano press fit. Plastic cups, so we're just putting these in dry. Again, another BSC tool, UK company. Great guys. They've made some tools for me that I've asked them to do before, which is good. A lot of 3D printing stuff and also a lot of very nicely machined stuff like this. And this we'll just press straight in there. Not too much of a fight. Don't worry about those noises, that is completely normal. I just want to check this sleeve is lined up because he's got a nasty habit of twisting the sleeve as you get it halfway. Looks okay. I did actually have this piece of aluminum made up in the hope that it will keep things straight. That is in. And that is out, and that's straight. Oh, I think that actually works. First time I had it made ages ago, and I keep forgetting to use it. I'll say what happens very often is that sleeve. I'll show you. I'll say what happens very often is at the last minute this just drops down a millimetre and puts a massive kink on the end, and you can't get it in. You'll jiggle it straight, but it does damage it. So just be really, really careful when you put them in to make sure that this sleeve stays nice and straight like that. This is another BSC tool. Like I say, I actually requested this. It's a 24mm drift, just for knocking out any cranks that are particularly stiff. Actually works really, really well. And again, potentially you could use that to align the sleeve if you did have a bit of an issue. Just get the cranks in now. So we'll just add some of this stuff on here. Don't go crazy because it just pushes it all down towards the end and falls off anyway, but just a light coating. And this will just push in now. Nice. And then the left hand crank, obviously. And get some preload on this. Apparently I was doing it way, way too tight, somebody said. Not just way tight, way, way too tight. Just nipping it up basically. That's pretty much it. Obviously you're taking any lateral play out there, you don't need any more than that. Drop your safety clip back down, tighten these up. I don't think that was way, way too tight. Nice and evenly. 12 to 14 Newton meters. There you go. Let me grease your fingerprints off and continue. Right, I'm going to have a quick break now because I forgot to charge the battery packs and it's a bit too warm in here, so I'll go and do some editing. See you in a bit. Right, I'm just going to connect at this front mech and then I'm leaving the rear because I don't have the jockey wheels yet, they're coming tomorrow. So after this I will move on to the wheels and then jump back on it tomorrow. I've got a lot of jockey wheels in stock, but sod's law in it. The only one you ever need is the one you don't have. I've done a separate video on this one, the toggle link to radius, so if you're struggling, check that one out. Just pull this through here, get some tension on there. And then we've got this adjuster here basically, plus the one we've put in line. So shift that up to the biggest chain ring, back one trim position, and you're looking for this line here and this line here to line up like that. So that's how much cable tension you've got to add to get it to work. So let's see if we've got enough on this one. I suspect not. Screw it in and you'll see this outer line moving. And there's not enough, so I'm just going to back that straight out again. I'll try and pull it through a bit harder. Just need to be a bit closer initially, basically. Drop the lever back down all the way, and then we're pulling this through quite hard. Try that again. Try it up to the big chain ring. Looks more promising. And down one trim position. This is the key bit. One trim click there, and then check out your lines much closer. So we'll easily get that now on this 2mm screw here. Screw it in until they line up. There you go, perfect. All you need to do to this, that's going to shift perfectly. Watch this space. I'm just going to drop it back down. Get this cable hooked underneath the derailleur. Like that. Give it a bit of a push while you're pulling it in and out. And it'll just drop under this top plate. Like that, quite nicely. And you've got this plastic trim here that covers over the top. I love these derailleurs. I know some people absolutely hate them, but I love them. It's so easy to do. And then just pop that pin there, it lives in the middle of this bolt. Tidies it all up, chop your cable off. I always chop this really, really short, and then I use the cable end cap to basically lock the cable and stop it unwinding itself there. Somewhere in here there's an oil slick colour. I'll find it, don't worry. So just push this cable back out a bit and get this on there. It's not in Shimano's instructions, but I actually find it helps quite a lot. Because I have a lot of these come in where the cable's popped out and jammed itself onto that top plate and causing issues. If you do this, it can't come out. That's done, and that will work perfectly. We get a chain on, obviously. Right, I'm going to look at the wheels next, and I'll come back to the rear derailleur, like I say, tomorrow, after I've cleaned this mess up. There's no issues with the bearings or anything. Like I say, we are changing this cassette and putting some new tyres on it. So quickly whip this off. It's too hot. How many times I've said that today? It is much easier to do it on the floor, but there you go. And the other reason I want to do the tyres today is so I can come back to it tomorrow, make sure they've held pressure overnight. I always tend to leave tubeless 24 hours before giving it back to the customer. Normally okay, but you never know. That's grease, that is, not corrosion. We'll check the pressure on these first. 45. Okay. Gonna come out anyway. If you can hear something, that's my car. I've just been in there to cool down. It's just ridiculous. And spray this bead. Easy. Right, I'm going to take it outside and do this because they are full of sealant. Give it a clean down, then we'll come back, put some new tyres on. Right, tyre wise, we have got another pair of giant tyres on it. This customer likes to keep the bike original, so they've sourced the original tyres by the looks of it. Anyway, let's get these on. So I'm not kidding, I've literally just sat in my car for 20 minutes to cool down. It's the only way I've got aircon. I'm presuming this is rotation. Yeah, that way there. Let's get these on then. The other ones came off nice and easy, so I think these will go on just as easily, hopefully. And work yourself back around, finish up at the valve. Make sure you pushed it all the way to the centre of the rim. You all know this, don't you? And go for it. Bearing in mind my thumbs don't work, so I might have to have a helping hand. Bear with. There you go. All you youngsters out there, wait till this don't work anymore. It's no fun. Alright, let's get this seated. And just check your beaded correctly all the way around. You need to be able to see the same amount of line down here, which I can. So there's no valve in it at the moment. I'm going to put sealant in. And the front one. And looks good as well. Bit of sealant. I always inject sealant. I don't pour it into the tyre. I've got 50ml in here. Customer said 30, but I don't think that's enough. There you go, 50. This is Vittoria sealant. I've had fantastic results with this stuff. I don't think it's let me down yet. 70 minimum, interesting. Put your valve back in and get some air in it. Okay, looking good. And lastly, just a new Ultegra cassette for this. And that's all we're doing with the wheels. So I did explain that you don't need to change your cassette every time you change your chain, but I mean there's no harm doing it, but it's just a bit extravagant, shall we say. 40 on this one. Click. So many spam calls now, it's not even funny, honestly. It's always Vodafone. No matter how many times you block them, it's Vodafone. I'm going to throw the wheels back in the bike now just so I can give them some spin time. And we can set the stem and the brake as well. And then, to be honest, I think I'm going to retire for the day. So I'm just waiting for the jockey wheel, so that's just going to slow me down a little bit. Plus it's too hot. Didn't mention it once today. Drop this down, align the stem. So this one wants 5.5 Newton meters, not 6, as you do. Should get my jazzy laser on it really, but hey, pretty confident that is straight. Good. Then we'll just get this front brake aligned, connect the cable. So I've had to take my gloves off, it's just too hot. I can't, it's just sweating so much, it's horrible. I can pinch these on because this is still loose, don't forget. Just make sure your quick release is closed. Just let go a little bit of pressure. Like that, try to leave it far too long. That's what she said. A bit more cable there. Feels very nice. I'll commit to that. And what was my centering guess? Well, really wasn't a million miles out, was I? Tiny bit over. Happy with that now. Happy days. Right, what's next? Yeah, I'm going to bung up this back bit here, won't we? So I was going to put some in here or over here to stop it getting filled up. I've got some rubber plugs. See if I've got one in the right size. There you go. I ain't never getting filled with rubbish again. I'll just pull out if you need to access that brake bolt ever. But it'll be me doing it anyway, so that's that sorted. So I'll come back to you tomorrow when the jockey wheels turn up. We'll get that fitted, new chain, set the gears up with this, wrap the bars, job done. Just before we finish this one off, a quick pause to say a massive thanks to Sport and Leisure for sponsoring today's video. So we all know there's nothing worse than being right in the middle of a job, only for everything to come to a grinding halt. The part you ordered said it was in stock, it wasn't in stock, often it's not even in the same country. Where's my jockey wheels? Anyway, that's exactly why I use Sport and Leisure. They're based right here in the UK. Stock levels are 100% live. So it's on the shelf, and it really is. Get your order in before 3 PM, and it's dispatched the very same day with free delivery on all UK orders. Next day delivery, only £2.50, which is brilliant when you need some jockey wheels. So they've also just updated the channel discount scheme. Head over to sportandleisure.com/PCR or scan this QR code on the screen right now. It'll generate a 10% discount at checkout off your very first order. If you're buying parts anyway, it's an easy way to save a bit of cash, isn't it? So the link's in the description below. And thanks again to Sport and Leisure for continuing to support the channel. Alright, let's get the LIV finished off. Okay, jockey wheels are here. Let's get these fitted. Still like an oven in here, but I have put a fan up, so it might help a little bit, hopefully. Question for you guys. What is this red stuff I keep seeing on Ultegra mech? It ain't rust, because there's nothing mild steel in here. But I keep seeing this on Ultegras. This stuff here. What's your best guess? Flummox me, I don't know, because there's nothing in here that's going to go rusty. It's all stainless. So, it's a bit of a weird one. I've seen that on 3 or 4 of these now. Yeah, never mind. Anybody knows what it is? Let me know. Let's get it cleaned up. This stuff smells fantastic. It's so nice. Also, it does a good job. And no, I'm not sponsored by Finish Line yet. These fit GRX and Ultegra, same ones. They always give you a little brown paper bag with Shimano, I don't know why. Better than plastic, I guess. So they will be clearly labelled. This is T pulley, so it's tension pulley for the bottom, and this one is G pulley, guide pulley for the top. Make sure you use the right bolt, because occasionally they are different lengths. So they can go in now. Better Loctite on these bolts as well. You'll see arrows on these as well. That arrow there, that's direction of chain travel, not direction of bike travel. I mean, it might be the same, I guess, but make sure you put it the direction of the chain travel. G pulley is at the top. Cartridge bearings on these Ultegra. I think someone did explain to me why they are directional, but I was far from convinced, but I guess there's some science behind it. Chain lines, etc., and angles of the chain coming through the derailleur in extremes. Makes sense. Don't forget this one. And the tension pulley is for the bottom, again directional on this one. Not all jockey wheels are directional. I'll just snug these up fairly tight, like that. I'm sure there's a torque setting out there somewhere if you really want to go to town on it, but just nice and tight, you don't want these falling out. Okay, that can go back on the bike and we can continue. Drop a grease in here. Still need to get this piece out. Right, let's see if we can get that out. That just pulled out with a pair of pliers, nothing too dramatic there. Bit of chill zone sprayed on it first, pop straight out. I keep telling you, when you're tightening these up, make sure you hold the derailleur, because otherwise look what happens to this link. It just walks itself up the hanger like that, and you're in completely the wrong position. So when you tighten it, pull down on your derailleur, just while you're snugging it up like that, and this needs to be on its B-stop there. Really, really important you do that. This piece of lining comes with a bike, and it lives in the frame, in there. This is the Shimano OT RS900, the super flexible cable that you need to use for shadow derailleurs. Prefer to use for shadow derailleurs. I'm not sure how essential it is, but I've always found it makes a big difference to shifting on these. It's extremely flexible. You can't normally do this with normal gear cable. This is basically sprung wound rather than longitudinal wound, which allows you to flex it into much shorter areas, so you don't need a big massive loop of cable. So I've just got a new piece of this. Because it is basically brake cable, when you cut it, you're going to be left with this sharp bit here, so just finish that off on the grinder. It needs to look nice and flush like this one. And yes, some naughty person's been aluminium on the grinding wheel. I didn't realise. I'll have to change that at some point. To be fair, it was past changing anyway. Get this fitted. I just added a light smear of grease on there to stop it seizing like that it did. Well, we shouldn't need to do any limit screws. We've done nothing to the derailleur. Just make sure you're in the right gear, which we are. We'll get this connected up. Just took the wheel out so you can see a bit better. Pretty clear on this one, but if you're not sure where it goes, take this out and you'll be pretty clear. Just go straight past here there. There's a groove actually manufactured into it. Drop that in, pull it through, fairly snug. And again, when you're tightening this bolt here, hold the derailleur, otherwise it's moving. So just hold this piece and you can tighten that up. Just go for one shift at the lever and see what happens. That should move. That moves. That should clear a gear, no problem. We've also got barrel adjuster, obviously. Keep this one fairly short because it does have a habit of either flicking in here or in the spokes. And then we've got another oil slick cable end for this one. AliExpress finest, not the tool. End cap, there you go. Okay, chain next. New Shimano chain. I think I've told you about 20,000 times before, but you can see text there, stampings, whatever you want to call it, on one side. The other side doesn't have it. So the one without the writing on it faces on the inside, so make sure you can see the writing when it's fitted, basically. Honestly, I don't think it makes a massive difference, but that's how it's been designed, so let's get it right. And super critical, you go over this plate on the rack and not in front of it. See that all the time. I'll put the link in and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Connect or remove, we are connecting. So nice, these Shimano ones, big fan. Side part tool, I've sacked you on these ones. That plate I'm talking about is this one here. Very, very often people will have the chain going over the top of it, which is incorrect. It needs to go down the back. So if you've got a noisy transmission and you can't work out where it's coming from, I guarantee you put your chain on wrong. Eventually it'll just wear this off completely. See it so many times. So now we can just run through the gears, get up to the big chain ring first. Don't forget, I told you this will work perfectly. Done nothing to it. There you go, beautiful. Let's see how this goes. So before we do that, I'm just gonna settle the housings down on the gear lever. Just basically press this in as much as you dare. I've never broken one yet. And what it does is seat all these housings in, all plastic ferrules, etc. And release it back down. And then you can set your gears. If you don't do that, you'll be back in 6 weeks doing it again, basically, because the cables have all settled down and bedded in. Not so much stretched, it's all those bits and pieces moving. Alright, so one gear. Or nothing. Not even moving at all now, so we'll just need to pull a bit more cable through. So we've got to take this slack out here now, it's a little bit too much. And that's why it's super important to do that, because all that happens, like I say, over the first few weeks of riding, it does what I just did in 5 seconds on that lever, and your gears go out of whack. So make sure you do that. Can't do it so much on the front, but on the rear, it's really important. We'll get DI2. Right, let's try it again. Close. There's some more tension on that, so what I'm going to do is go up 3 or 4 gears. And then I'm going to click the lever back down without pedalling. And that'll give me a bit of slack on there. It just makes it much easier to turn this barrel adjuster, because otherwise it can be very tight. So I can turn that no problem at all now. And then just pedal again and see what happens. So let's go for one shift. Almost. A little bit more. There we go. Needs a little bit more. You can hear how noisy that is coming down the block. That's because it just needs a little bit more tension. You can see there, still struggling a smidge, so just back that off there again. So I've got nice and easy to turn this. Going to give it another half a turn. And go one more time. That's up, no problem. Much quieter coming down, you can tell that difference. So that's in highest gear at the moment. There is one more problem with this bike I've just found. There you go. It's automatic. So clearly we need to have a look at this freehub as well. So not too bad because it's doing all what it should do. Well, it shouldn't be doing that. It's just a bit too much drag in this. So we'll have this wheel out, have a look at that. I'll just run through this front mech first though. Just put it in the middle of the block somewhere. That's in top gear, so trim down one. That silences that, and then back down, then you got one more trim down there. Back up to the largest sprocket on the back. Check your clearance in here. And it's pretty much bang on. You want 0 to 0.5 millimeters between the skid plate and the chain, and that looks really good there. So let's get this wheel out, see what's going on with this freehub. Just get this out first. I should hopefully just be able to pull this cassette all the way off with the freehub body. There you go, just like that. So there's a bit too much grease in there. That's all pretty much sticking down these pulls. So I'm just going to clean this up and put it back together. I'm dragging on this seal here as well. That's covered in grease. So it's just a bit too much grease in there, basically just gluing it together. So give it all a good clean up, and then smell that, and then it should be absolutely fine. I'm just going to quickly whip this cassette off though, just to save getting it covered in rubbish. Then just pull this straight off like that. So it's most likely going to be this seal here that's causing most of that drag there. So take it off, remember which way it goes because they will only go one way. So the V groove there faces the outside basically. I'm going to pop these off, clean it all up. I showed you this a few times before, but it's just a very basic spring clip holds this in place. That one there. And just peel that out. And these will just pop out. There's only 2 in this one. And give it a good clean. Try to avoid the bearings because we're not really looking at those. There's nothing wrong with them. There's 3. Sorry, it's hiding. It's in really good condition. There's no corrosion on them or anything. A bit gummed up with grease. Clean all this up and get back together. Just cut that off and use this to get the grease in. Shimano freehub grease on this one. DT, there's a few other people make it, but I like the Shimano one. It's just a very light grease. And you only need it here where the back of the pole sits. That's where it basically pivots. Like that. That one. And that one. Poles will only go one way. Just drops in there like that. 3 of them. The grease will hold it together while you're doing that. Then get your little spring. That little stop there is where the spring basically meets in the middle. Hook it in the first bit and then just peel it around. I'm trying to keep it in focus, but that's it. Once the spring's on, they'll all pop out to where they should be. So that's basically that. And then I'll just get a little bit of extra grease on my finger and just wipe it around the outside of that. Just a tiny, very light coating of it. You even do freehub oils if you want to make it louder. You can use oil instead of a grease. I don't use it, but you can get it. And that seal will go back. Just make sure you get it the right way around. These seals work pretty well with mineral oil, so you can use Shimano brake fluid on there. Clean finger. There you go. And just wipe that on that seal. That's it. That's all they need. Get that back in the wheel now. In the wheel itself, just make sure this isn't full of grease. This is not too bad. Just give it a good clean while you're in there as well. And put it back in. And then I'll just go back in. And I'll be absolutely fine. I almost guarantee it. Just find out. Get your end cap on. Put a little bit of grease in here as well, just for some added weather protection. Put the end cap, or you can run it around here. And a bit on the axle, just to aid installation. And just pushes in. I'll just throw the cassette back on and get it back in. There you go, sorted. Small, shouldn't be in there, but it's working. Beautiful. I'm just going through the service sheet actually now as I go, otherwise I'll forget. So I designed this, it works actually pretty well. So we break it down into brakes, wheels, steering, transmission, fault, no fault. So if there's a fault, we put an X. If it's been serviced, such as that freehub, we put an R on what we did to it. And then any parts we've used, we put the cost of that down there. And basically any notes that you need down here or in here. No delivery collection, the customer dropped it off. Parts, labour, total cost. There's a QR code on there for Google reviews, etc. Actually works pretty well, I think. Quite proud of this one. So I've got this printed out into books as well. I'll finish that later with the costings. So the only thing left to do now is wrap the bars. I've got Super Cas, and it is the Galaxy, exactly the same as what came off. So the customer's quite keen on actually putting that back on, so we've got the same tape. And I'm going to change these hoods as well, new hoods. So I'm just going to get these wrapped up now. I did a video last week on actually wrapping bars a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not going to cover that again. So I'll just quickly blast through this, and then we'll get these hoods changed over. Okay, that looks good. They give you matching Galaxy caps. Look at them, they're funky, they are. Very nice. Finishing tape, however, is not Galaxy, it's just plain black. Stick. That side is done, so I'll just wrap the other side up and then we'll come to these hoods. It's just a case of changing these hoods over now, so obviously these are coming off, so we're just going to cut this straight off. I think these are like £12. The cost is so low, and it just makes a big difference. Yeah, but it does mean, however, I've got to do my least favourite job, fitting new ones. So they are obviously sided. This little lump here is where the gear cable pulls through there. So that one's there, that one's there. So I did a video on this, a couple of ways to do it: soak them in hot water or use this hand gel here. I asked if anyone else got any fantastic ideas, and nobody else really came up with anything different, so we'll stick with hand gel. I've seen people use toe straps and all sorts, but whatever you do, you've got to be pretty violent with it, that's for sure. So this is basically just a lubricant that will evaporate off. It's alcohol based, so don't use a water-based lubricant for this. Save it for something else. Right, then you just got to basically pull this over and pray it doesn't rip. To be honest, they don't normally, but I've got a spare set if it does. And once it gets going, it's okay. Like that. And fold it back out to where it should be. Right, we're on. So you basically pull this back end as far back as you can, which allows this piece here to hook into here, really. Otherwise it just stays a bit rubbish like this, and that's no good. So just pull it all the way back, and it will just drop in a bit better. Just manipulate it around. And that's all. Right, do the next one. Whew. So much nicer though. You actually got this grip that I've completely worn off. On the other one it was just crumbling rubber, so not good. Let's just battle this one. I just had a customer collect his tubeless wheels. It was quite funny. I set them up with tubeless a couple of weeks ago. Brand new wheels, brand new tyres, everything perfect. Conti GP5000s all day long, no problem. And he's losing pressure. She brought it over today for me to have a look at. And somehow I'd completely forgotten to put sealant in one tyre. Which kind of explains why it was going down. But to be fair to Conti, it did stay up pretty much for 2 weeks and only lost sort of 10 psi overnight with no sealant, so that's pretty impressive. But now it's got sealant in it, should be good to go. Couldn't believe it. I think somebody must have distracted me at the critical point and just completely forgot. The other wheel had sealant in it, so that was funny. Luckily the customer also thought it was pretty funny. Never done that before. This will evaporate. I'm just going to take some of the excess now we've got it over the hump. I'll pull that back, hook that in. There we go, so much better. 75% alcohol, Dr. Palm. There you go. I've also just added a little bit of helicopter tape on this one here because it's quite close. The other side's miles away, so it should be fine. Certainly looking and feeling a lot fresher this bike is now, that's for sure. Especially around here on the bars, new hoods, new tape, etc. Sorted all these dodgy cables out. Transmission's refreshed as well. Ready to go. New tyres have held pressure overnight, no problem. Suspected they'd be absolutely fine, and they were. So this is ready to go. I get a few LIVs in the workshop every now and again. I've always been really impressed with them. Obviously they're giants at the end of the day. And they're pretty mechanic friendly, like the cables that you saw there. They're pretty straightforward to work on. But yeah, nice bikes, and I'm always impressed with them. So you did enjoy that. If you want to see more, you know what to do. Big fat subscribe button down there. I don't think it's that fat, it's kind of there, but you know the score. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.